Hi, this is Corey Weathers. I wanted to take an opportunity to use art therapy to show you how our understanding of love is often skewed and what you can do about it. So let's get started. When we are born, we come into the world as an innocent child, a baby, who is in need of attention and love and support and comfort. So I'm using pink because pink is a great color for love. And so when you are an infant, you need your diaper changed. You need comfort when you're crying. When you're sick, you need someone to take you to the doctor. You are very dependent on your caretakers, whether it's a grandparent, whether it's a parent, whoever it is. You're very dependent on them for love and attention. As a small child, love is expressed to us largely through physical affection, whether it's hugging, bathing, comfort, holding, rocking, and that's how we understand love. When I am rocked, when I'm comforted, when I'm fed, when my diaper is changed, this person loves me, this person cares for my well-being, and attachment happens. So this is our earthly version of unconditional love. The way that we're supposed to be as an infant is it doesn't matter how colicky I am, how sick I am, that this person is going to stick around and this person is going to continue to love me and support me. So this is our understanding of love when we are a small child, small infant. But let's say that you enter into your childhood, let's say 3 to 7, and life starts getting a little bit more difficult. We start to experience the humanity of our caretakers, the humanity of our parents. Maybe mom is a stay-at-home mom and she's starting to get frazzled. Her coping skills aren't very good. She's starting to snap. She's starting to not handle being a stay-at-home mom very easily. I've been a stay-at-home mom and it's a struggle, and we're not perfect every day. And that's why some of our humanity comes through. We're not perfect. And so what the child starts to experience, especially if their home life is a little bit more disruptive and the caretakers don't have good coping skills, weren't nurtured themselves, they start to experience another version of love. What was attachment, what was safe, unconditional love, starts to look a little bit different. Instead, what they experience is mom getting snappy, irritable, maybe yelling, maybe mom saying hurtful things to the child. You're stupid. Why can't you get this right? Why can't you stop complaining? Your temper tantrums are driving me crazy. She's not handling it very well. Maybe dad's coming home and he has had a really stressful job, really stressful day, and he comes home and he just sits in front of the TV and he doesn't relate to the children whatsoever. What was my caretaker is taking care of my needs and is giving me everything that I need in order to build healthy attachments is now turning into something different. When I am loved, I'm loved by being ignored. I got to figure it by myself. Love becomes irritability and moody and hurtful statements. And that causes a lot of conflict, doesn't it? Because in our mind, in our experience, we have at one time experienced some form of attachment and some form of dependence and love and comfort, and that something has changed. Now, of course, that child understands that being called stupid isn't necessarily loving, but if that's all they're getting, then their understanding of love changes because this person, this we'll say mom, is so crucial to them. They can't divorce my mother from something that's being said that's really hurtful. And even though being called stupid is painful because it's coming from my mom, and my mom is somebody that I desperately need and desperately want attachment in my life, we start to confuse love as my mom is giving this to me, and so my understanding of love somehow is disappointing, somehow is hurtful. And even though I want the original love that I had once before, all I'm getting is negative attention. All I'm getting is hurtful statements. And so after a while, a child will actually start pursuing negative responses. In order to get any kind of attention from my mom, something is better than nothing. And so being called stupid, although it hurts, is something that also feeds that attention and feeds that attachment in a skewed or twisted way. So we all have experiences in our life that have been hurtful. There is no way to go through life without getting hurt. And so think back to a time, maybe in your teenage years and your college years, where something really hurtful happened, where your understanding of love changed. Now, for some people, this was a time in their life when their father abandoned them. Maybe their mother abandoned them. Maybe one of their parents struggled with alcohol. And so they started to see that the alcohol was taking over their family and over their parents' ability to love and parent. Maybe there was a relationship that broke up and your first experiences of rejection. All of us have had some initial, very big, painful experience where what we thought was love, what we wanted to be love, actually turned into something that was actually very hurtful. This is a normal experience for us to have. We're supposed to realize that not everybody out in the world can love purely and unconditionally and not hurt someone else. But all of us have been through something very painful. So let's say this person experiences abandonment. Let's say this is really important for those children who've been adopted, who've experienced the abandonment by their original parent. Usually it's a very marking experience, and I don't have to do a lot of work to usually ask a person, what was that experience in your life? We can always think back and find what that experience was. So let's say in this person's case, they experienced their mother abandoning them. For whatever reason, mom disappears, maybe father takes them on. This is a very marking experience. What was once skewed love of negative attention now means abandonment. And they have a history, right? I can remember when this heart was purple. I can remember when this heart was pink. I remember that love wasn't always something that was scary and discouraging and disappointing, painful. But because this came from my caretaker, because this came from the person who made me and brought me into this world, this person that's supposed to offer unconditional love and never abandon us and never leave us, we can't separate that. And so what happens is it skews our understanding of love. Now love is this thing that hurts, is painful, disappoints us. It's something that's not trustworthy. It's not something that I can take a risk in. It's not something that I can easily walk into the world and open my heart to people, because it is that thing that disappoints me and hurts me at some point in my life. And so we walk through the world like this. We walk through the world waiting for people to hurt us, waiting for people to abandon us, because the most important people in our life hurt us and expressed a version of love that our heart didn't understand. And so rather than setting ourselves up to be hurt again, we walk into the world waiting for the world to disappoint us. Now, you could fill in the blank for whatever love has taught to you in your life. So maybe it's love is disappointment. Love is rejection. Love is I'm unworthy. Love is I'm not important. And so even though we would love for the world, for our spouse to prove us different, even though we would love for somebody to show us this unconditional love, what happens is it dissolves. It somehow doesn't, there's traces of it, but it doesn't really survive in this kind of black hole of what we experienced from the most important people in our life. Even though our spouse, let's say we get married, and even though our spouse tries to serve us, tries to show us what love really is, because we have only experienced love translated in hurtful ways, it never quite competes. It never quite makes a difference. It never quite fully changes us, because we're always waiting for our spouse or our good friends to hurt us, disappoint us, abandon us. It becomes a theme or a narrative in our life. So what do we do? Because it's not good for us to walk through life and walk in our relationships this way. It's not healthy or fair even to ourselves to wait and expect for someone to abandon us, wait for someone to leave us, wait for someone to continue to prove to us that we are somebody who is worth being abandoned. Well, how do you make pink? This was our understanding of love when we started. This was our understanding of love from humans. This love was supposed to be unconditional that turned into something very human and conditional. We make pink by adding white and red. White is the purest color, isn't it? It's often known as the absence of color. And so basically, our experience of love is a mixture of love that happened to be tainted just as much as we've been tainted. And so our experience with other humans is learning about love from tainted people. We've all been tainted. And so understanding that this version of love that we even started with is tainted and skewed in its own. It has its own set of experiences, its own set of hurts because of life up until that point, helps us realize that we can forgive that person, realize their own story has affected them and their expression of their love. And it helps us see humanity as flawed. And that's so important for us being able to move forward. As we experience our spouse's love to us, we can say, you know what, they're doing a really good job. They're trying really hard, but they're also going to be not perfect. They're also going to be skewed in their understanding of love. Now, if white is pure, the only person that can offer us pure love that is not tainted is Jesus, God. Jesus is the only person that has ever been able to show us that he fully knows us. He fully created us, knowing exactly what we would struggle with, and has this amazing ability to offer unconditional love, real, pure, unconditional, wise, good love and affection. And when we start to introduce Jesus into our life, into our understanding of love, when we start to educate ourselves on if God is love, who is God? How does he work? How does he show us that he loves us? How does he show us how to love other people? This is what begins to change us. This is what begins to make a big difference. The more we add, the more of God we seek out and allow him to pour into our life, the more we allow him to bring clarity and wisdom to our experiences, as he changes us, as he helps us be aware of our history and our understanding and experiences with other people and how they were human, as he brings us to a point of being able to forgive them and say they were flawed, they were human, they weren't capable of expressing the love that I desperately needed. I was going to other people and asking them to fill a void that only God could fill. Only God can give us what real love is supposed to be about. I can start to let go of expecting other people to love me perfectly, because only God can do that. The more, let's face it, the more color we expect and add to our life and say this is pure, the darker it gets, right? The more color we add, the darker it gets. The more brown it gets, the more yucky it gets. And instead, when we go to God and we say, you know what, you are my model, my example of love, you are the one who knows me. You are the one that created me. You are the one that can pour into my life and fill the void and tell me who I really am, and tell me what I'm really worth, and tell me what I'm capable of becoming, what my purpose is, that my expectations for my parents to tell me that, my expectations for my spouse to tell me that, my expectations for my children to somehow communicate that to me was way too high of an expectation that no person could ever fill because they themselves are tainted. This is how we then begin to go out into the world and teach other people that I am flawed. My understanding of love is flawed, but I'm doing the best that I can, learning from my maker, learning from my master, learning from the one who created love to begin with. I will always be skewed. I will never be able to divorce my experiences of love, my experiences of people, and my experience of sin and their life and how it has impacted me. I will never be able to divorce my own experiences and how it's affected me. But the more that I add God to my life, the more it will change me, and that then I'll be able to go out into the world and they will start to see something different about me because I'm getting brighter. The light of God is shining through me, And people will begin to experience real, true love as I give God the glory instead of people for teaching me what I thought love was supposed to be about. This is a great tool for you to be able to share with your children. If your children are old enough, I encourage you to talk to your children about your own story and how other people and how sin has affected your understanding of love and how God has changed that. If you have adopted a child, understanding that their experience of love is going to look very different from maybe your other children or from you even. Understanding that if they've been abandoned or mistreated by their original parents, they will always walk through life waiting for that rejection, waiting for that disappointment, waiting for someone to hurt them. But as we pour God into their life and teach them from the Word of God, they will then start to have more of God and less of people and their impact in their life. I hope this helps. I would love to hear your comments. I would love to hear how this has impacted your life and sharing it with other people who may want to hear this and have some clarity brought to their own understanding of love. Thanks so much.